Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Peace with Mother Earth. I'm Stephanie Lindloff, eco-intuitive coach and teacher, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode is all about helping busy, stressed out caregivers access greater patience. Yes, you can. I will show you, tell you how, and it's so simple and lovely with nature doing this to cultivate greater patience, and how this greater patience translates into relieved anxiety for you. So, we're going to be talking about gaining greater patience and relieving anxiety through your sacred connection with Mother Earth. And I have some simple ways to help you flex your patience muscle, which is really what it's all about. It's so much of coming to that place of calm and patience when you need it the most. It's about practice. It's about practicing that ability that you have, that you absolutely have, but we often need to flex those muscles over and over, right? We need to exercise that muscle of being able to access your personal patience. And Mother Earth makes this especially enjoyable for you to practice and simple, and opens you up to a lot of opportunities to practice gaining greater patience throughout every single day. So, I wanted to just speak especially to you caregivers, whether you're taking care of children or perhaps aging parents or another loved one who you have a lot of responsibility for, and how, first of all, you're doing amazing work. I mean, that is like you are an angel on earth doing that work. Caregiving is extraordinarily challenging for everybody, and it can be especially challenging if you are a woman who struggles with anxiety and second guessing yourself and self doubt. That all translates into difficulties when it comes time to working with those who you are taking care of, especially if they are young children. And if you've been there or if you are there, then you know. If you know, you know, right? Um, I used to be a very stressed out caregiver, a very stressed out mom. I'll just say it right there. I'll put it out there. I have struggled with anxiety and this drive to achieve and strive throughout my entire life. And while that latter one, being an overachiever, has a lot of gifts associated with it, it can also really ramp up anxiety, especially when we are taking care of young children in particular, but also, anybody of any age. And I I had thought of myself as a pretty patient person until I had our first child, our daughter, who's now 13. And, it was a big adjustment. She's extremely headstrong, still is, and, difficult to get to do things without her going along with it. So, like so many parents of young kids, we experienced a lot of power struggles, a lot of, just very tension filled moments. And I would always come out of those feeling so drained and like I was failing somehow as a mother. And that it was so much of it was around this vision, this expectation that I had created for myself and for my daughter, most importantly, of how she was supposed to behave, right? We have these some people call them like an operating manual or a playbook that we expect others to follow. And it's really unfair of us to have those expectations of others, right? Because we are ultimately not in control of how others behave or act. That is in their control. So when we develop these big expectations as parents, especially of how our children behave, it can really ramp up the anxiety and the stress levels overall. And then, of course, that just spirals. That can be such a negative feedback loop because when you're stressed as a caregiver, and I'm going to just say as a mom, because I think that that's probably what most people listening are, um, if you consider yourself a caregiver, if you're stressed and if you're, really anxious and have a short fuse, that is going to just exacerbate things with your child, right? We know this. I am not saying this as a way of judging, it's just the facts. They our kids take so much uh you know they're so affected by the energy that we bring to any given situation that when we get stressed out, they get stressed out, and then things can escalate. So I thought I had, a kind of a challenging time with our first child. And then I had our second child. And I realized that I had no idea about challenging behaviors until little Owen came along. I love my son dearly, of course. He's 7 years old now. I will tell you that the first 4 or 5 years of his life were extremely challenging. He had, from the beginning, he had issues with eating, with feeding. He was just cranky. And then it started, as he got older, it started developing into more concerning behaviors. Well, we eventually, at age 2 or 3, had him evaluated and he was diagnosed with autism. And then he was also diagnosed this spring with ADHD, and he has some sensory processing issues. So, of course, he is already in a place of emotional dysregulation in just the way that his body has been and his mind has been having to, work through his neurodiversity. And so we have been through, hundreds and hundreds of hours of different kinds of therapies, and it has been totally worth it because it has helped him become more emotionally regulated. And in the process, I have learned so many strategies to help me gain greater patience so that I can best support him at those times when he is most in need of calm leadership from me as his caregiver. And so, of course, I love nature. I love gardening. As you know, if you've been listening to me, following me, I teach how our gardens, especially, or any place that is easily accessible for you to get out in nature and experience nature. I don't mean the wilderness. I mean just like literally stepping out your front door and going and spending some time with a tree, a neighborhood tree, or in your gardens. When we create these moments for ourselves to come to the present and to cultivate our sense of patience, we are able to instantly relieve our anxiety. But as I said at the beginning, we're also flexing that muscle. We are working out our ability, which is innate. You have the ability to be patient, to be calm, to be a, calm, confident leader with your kids, with anybody who you are taking care of. And this is so easy to create these moments to practice cultivating, to practice gaining greater patience with nature. Um, this has really been part of transforming my ability to be a calm, supportive parent to a special needs child. And his behaviors ranged from, multiple tantrums every day, throwing things, swiping things, hitting, acting out, you know, running away, so many different behaviors that our son has worked through and continues to have a bit to this day, not nearly as significant as in his earliest years. So I just want you to know that, we've been through it. I'm not saying that my child had an occasional tantrum. I'm saying that he was physically very aggressive and would just lose it. He would just lose it. And, throwing heavy items, things like that. So I just want you to know that I'm talking from a place of a lot of experience with this, especially when it comes to working with, caring for a child who already has some, emotional regulation challenges, and how important it is for us as the moms, as the parents, to be able to access that place of patience. Now, I love to talk about how simply noticing and observing things in nature around you brings you to the present moment and cultivates your sense of patience, because so many of us are accustomed to just looking at things in nature in a very fleeting way and just saying, "Oh, wow, what a beautiful sunset. Zoop, time to make dinner." Or, "Oh, the trees are changing color. Isn't that nice? Whoop, got to go watch my Netflix show." We have such short attention spans overall. It's just something that we're dealing with in our society these days. And when we allow ourselves that space and time to have a moment, even if it's just like 30 seconds, it matters to really take in what you are observing in nature. This is such a powerful way of strengthening your ability to be patient and to be calm, because when you are in a place of noticing and observing, you enter the present moment. You're not wrapped up in expectations and what you're hoping for the future, what your plan is for the future. And of course, when we live in the future, that really ramps up our anxiety because we're not in the present moment. So, one of the very simple practices that I just realized the other day has been a big part of my personal practice of building patience is something that I do out in the garden, especially in the fall. And it's connecting with bees. Now, as you know, bees are incredibly important for a whole variety of reasons. They are one of our primary pollinators that we depend upon for so much, absolutely vital to our ecosystems and vital to our livelihoods, our health, providing us food, providing the materials for so many of our clothes, and I'm talking about cotton primarily, but there's other clothes that are, dependent upon materials, plants that create materials that we create clothes from. There's so many reasons that we want to not only support bees, but if you are interested in tapping into your natural wisdom, the wisdom that you hold within yourself as a child of nature, as a person who has a deep love for nature, and a person who believes that you have much to gain, a lot of healing, a lot of insights, a lot of just peace and calm. You can gain this through your connection with nature, and with bees especially, so powerful. Bees are the ultimate creators. And boy, if you are a caregiver of a child, whether they are a biological child or a foster or an adopted child, you are creating an individual. You are helping them create themselves and move into their place of individuality. So I feel like bees have an especially powerful support that they are offering you as a caregiver. Now, this beautiful plant that is blooming behind me right now is a New England aster. I'm just going to shift it so you can see it. At this time of year, it is just full of flowers, and we also have lots of goldenrod that are blooming at this time of year. You'll see both asters and goldenrod blooming alongside roads and, on the edges of forests and, of course, in any open area. So, like prairies. Um, so, you're going to see these all over the place, probably even in your neighborhood if they're not in your garden. And they are loved by bees. The bees and a variety of other pollinators, wasps, flies, even butterflies. They will be taking advantage of these blooms at this time of year here in the fall, early fall, because they are the latest blooming flowers in nature, at least here in the upper Midwest. And so they provide a vital role for the pollinators to continue to receive the nourishment that they need and to also bulk up a little bit so that they're prepared for some of them, so that they are prepared to overwinter. Because yes, some bees do overwinter, even here in the upper Midwest when it gets crazy cold sometimes. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to help those bees overwinter too in a future episode. But today, I just wanted to give you a very simple little exercise that is good for people that are familiar and comfortable being around bees. And also, if you're not, I want you to take this into consideration, okay? Because I have learned that the more time I spend around bees, the it's just they're incredibly gentle. They are incredibly gentle and peaceful animals and have such a beautiful spirit of, they're hard workers and they're generous and they are community oriented social creatures. And they, you know, so much depends upon them. And they are just so beautiful. Their essence, their spirit is so beautiful to connect with. So I would love for you to give yourself the experience of observing, noticing the bees that may be near you. Okay? So listen to this one and see how it resonates. When you are Now, there's not many bees out right now because we had some rain, but when it's, dry, this will be covered in bees, a whole variety of bees, and perhaps some wasps too. Now, I've been stung by a bee, I've been stung by a couple of wasps. It hurts. The only time that it really happens is if you disturb them, if you do something to cause that reaction, right? So what I love to do is to stand back from the plant and just be there. Just stand, however far back from the plant you think is that you're comfortable with. Stand back from the plant and just watch the bees. Now, if you have asters that are fully blooming or goldenrod and it's a nice day, not raining, you're going to see bees, okay? Or you're going to see some other types of pollinators. Just allow yourself to observe them. Watch how they could care less if you're there. If they buzz over to check you out, they're going to very quickly just go right back to the flowers because these flowers are just like the greatest, smorgasbord for them. So they could care less if you're there. They want to check out the flowers and gather the pollen. So when you're comfortable, take another step towards them and then another step. Could be that same day that you're feeling more and more comfortable, could be something that you do over a number of days. But the point is that you are giving yourself that time and space to build your patience, not only with the bees, but also with yourself. Acknowledging and observing how you can be patient and kind and compassionate to yourself and allow yourself to observe what is happening around you without getting all in an uproar about it. The, and then eventually you will find yourself being able to get closer and closer until you can be, literally this far away from bees and watch them, watch how they behave, watch their activity. This sounds like just a simple nature observation exercise, but I have found, I am convinced that this builds your patience, especially for observation and for noticing, because one of the biggest things that we need to be aware of when it comes to tapping into our patience, especially when we're taking care of a child, is to recognize that you don't have to get embroiled into the emotional turmoil that they're experiencing. You can observe, you can still have so much love and compassion and empathy, but you can approach it from a place of you regulating yourself, and then you can better serve, support your loved one. It is something that you can absolutely cultivate within yourself, regardless of the challenges that you are dealing your with your loved one, with the one that you are giving care to. And this simple act of watching the bees, you will find that, especially if you're a person that's a little nervous around pollinators, bees, wasps, took me a while to get acclimated to being around wasps because I always thought they're all aggressive. Not true. Not true. They are just as gentle as bees. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to, pick up a bunch of wasps and start petting them and have little wasp friends. I wouldn't do that with bees either. But when you spend time around these pollinators, especially when they're having a great old time on all of these flowers, you are able to notice how you're feeling. You're able to notice how you are becoming more patient and more calm in observing them. And then soon enough, you just simply get lost in the observation of what is happening with them. And this will definitely help you with whatever circumstances you are working with in your caregiving responsibilities. I just want to here in closing let you know a couple of the beautiful things that I've been able to experience with bees because of this. And for one, it's just simply being able to watch them pollinate because it's really fascinating to watch how they work. I mean, the methods that they use and how some of them have a different way of approaching flowers. And if the more time you spend observing the bees, the more you're able to really tap into their behaviors and their, how how they operate, their movements. And it's fascinating because you are learning about a being that has so much to offer you. Now, two other things that I have had I think it's kind of a rare experience of seeing, but I want you to experience it. It's not rare because it's difficult to witness. It's rare because so few people take the time to stop and notice, okay? So the first thing is sleeping bees. They are the cutest things ever. When we wake up in the morning, we, get up and start moving around, and it takes us a while to wake up, right? Same with the bees. So if you have the ability to, in the morning, go and check out some asters or some goldenrod in particular, the bees sleep on the goldenrod, and they are so cute, you guys. So cute, especially if there has been a rain. They're all under the leaves and they're just hanging there and they're still. And you can tell they're just chilling. They're sleeping. They are a little chilly maybe, so they're starting to get ready for the day. They might start stretching their legs. You might see them kind of moving their, necks around, their heads around. I'm probably not using the right scientific term, but you know what I mean. It's just so precious to watch this, to watch a little bee do this. And the other thing that I got to see the other day for the very first time was I got to see a bee bathing themselves. I got to see this bee that was slowly waking up, and it kind of reminded me of a cat. They take their back leg and they bring it up over their back and they just like pet themselves, pet themselves. And then they brought their leg up here and did something like this. I don't know if they were like licking their leg, and then they did it again. Now, I have never seen a bee bathe themselves before, and I was just transfixed. It just felt like such an incredibly intimate thing to witness. And like I say, something I've never seen before. And anytime you have those experiences, that sparks that awe and wonder that I like to talk about, which is always so healing and really brings us to this place of deep connection with all that is, with everything that is around us in nature, and to recognize the beauty and the wonder and the joy that you have around you in every moment. And it's those moments that tap you into that place of presence, that help you relieve your anxiety. I mean, it's almost magical how the anxiety, you can just feel it lightening up anytime you are able to access that place of presence. And the patience that you will also be gaining through these simple acts of noticing and observing nature, I guarantee will be of benefit to you in your caregiving. You're taking care of children or any loved one. So I really hope that you give this a try. It's very simple. The bees in particular have so much to offer you, and this is a beautiful time to be observing them in nature because they're, all over these plants right now, the last flowers of the year. Time to take advantage of it. I would love to have the opportunity to talk more with you about how you are interested in relieving your anxiety, accessing your deep wisdom through simple moments. I have a free breakthrough session that I would love to meet you through, and all you have to do is check out the link below, or you can go to ournaturalwisdom.com/breakthrough, and all of the information will be there for you. This is a completely free one-on-one private phone call that we do, and it would be such an honor to support you through your busy times. I specialize in helping women who are busy, especially caregivers who are struggling with anxiety and self-doubt. We will create simple practices that will help you access your deepest wisdom, the wisdom of your soul, your intuition. And this can help you in all parts of your life, from your personal relationships with your children, your spouse, your other loved ones, through your work, through anything that you are looking to accomplish, a big project that you have in mind that you just haven't been able to get to because that anxiety keeps rearing its head. We can work with that, work through that together, because I want you to be able to experience all of the joys of a fulfilled, calm, and peaceful life. And I know that working with Mother Earth in simple moments can do just that for you. So once again, you can request your free breakthrough session at ournaturalwisdom.com/breakthrough, or check out the link that's going to be in the description down below. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I look forward to seeing you again next week here on YouTube Live for another episode of Reclaim Your Peace with Mother Earth. Thanks, and have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.